Hello, everybody. This is Christine from A Naturally Balanced Dog. I am the food specialist there, and I just want to welcome you all to our live. And today we've got a great topic, and I don't know about any of you, but here in the Chicago area, we actually hit like 50 degrees today. So I think that this is a perfect opportunity to talk about our topic, which is about natural prevention for flea, ticks, and mosquitoes. And today my guest is Brenda Utzerath.
Very good.
From Modern Dog Acupressure and Natural Therapies. So welcome, Brenda. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
I'm really excited because I think that this is really one of those things that I think people think about, but they don't always know what options they have. And so a lot of times they go into their vet, they get whatever is those prescriptions, recommendations. But I think deep inside, a lot of people feel maybe a little uncomfortable knowing that what they're putting on their dog can certainly have some severe side effects and whatnot. So natural prevention, I think, is just a great opportunity. So with that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what it is that you do, and what is it that motivates you to be doing natural therapies and working with animals?
So Modern Dog came to be in about 2010, 2008, 2009, 2010. And I am board certified in animal acupressure, small animal acupressure, and I have a myriad of other certifications, including homeopathy, traditional Chinese medicine, herbs, food as therapy, raw dog food feeding, flower essences, all our fun kinds of modalities that go so nicely with natural medicine. I started in search to help my own animals, which I think a lot of us start out that way. In 2021, I morphed into doing more online distance consulting, partnering with pet parents, helping them get hooked up with the kinds of healthcare professionals and finding resources that we look for that on the World Wide Web, there's so many. What's trusted? What can we do? So I partner with pet parents to find the best protocols, the best path they can take with their animal according to what they're looking to do with their animal. So.
Very good. I know from my own personal self, and probably just like you, and as you said, many others, we're kind of out there and we're looking for ways to be able to prevent putting poisons and topical chemicals into our dog's body, especially when we know that there are so many things that can potentially trigger, illnesses within our dogs. And so I know that's kind of how I also kind of entered. Is I just wanted to make sure that my dogs were well cared for. And then you go into looking at different, different options. So maybe you can kind of share, where do people begin? I mean, where's kind of like the beginning stages of making those changes in preventing parasites of that nature?
So oftentimes, as you mentioned, people end up in their veterinarian office for, say, an annual physical or something and walk away with all these pesticide kinds of things and toxins and say, here, save your animal from any trouble and so forth. And then have this visceral reaction, this stuff is poison and it's toxic. I'm not supposed to touch my dog for, a day for after I apply something or whatever. And then their animal begins to have some chronic disease or some issues. And then sometimes people start looking for, what can I do that's more natural? I don't like having my lawn sprayed with toxins and pesticides and things like that. But what can I do to deter these pests? Because it is important to deter them. And then what happens if we do get a bite? Or what happens if we do get something that causes some unwellness with our animals. And so that's where I like to jump in and say, hey, let's do a layered approach. Let's do multiple things. It's not as easy as just give a pill once a month and then hope your dog doesn't vomit the rest of the month or
Right.
something like that.
I
So,
think I
yeah,
think that is the one thing that people are a little leery about when it comes to the natural products is they don't realize that you gotta, it's an ongoing thing. It's
yep,
just not like you said, one pill or one drop in a month and then you don't have to worry about it. It's something that you usually have to do almost on a daily basis
sure.
to try to upkeep it.
Sure. And daily cares. That's why we have
Exactly.
pets, is because we care daily. So we also have to take daily cares. So,
Yes, absolutely. And so, environmental, what are
mm,
some of those areas that we would be making changes, or how do we begin to create a environment that is more healthful for our animals?
well, sure. So I like to start with the outside environment because our animals have to go out daily to go potty, if nothing else. They can be indoor dogs otherwise, but we need to make their environment fairly safe. So one of the very first things we can do when we're in an urban or a rural setting is keep the yard clear of organic materials and debris, and also keep it mowed where your
Yes,
animal
sure.
is going to be, right?
Yes.
So if you've got an acre, but your animal doesn't, meander the entire acre, you don't have to be as concerned about some of the out areas. But where your animal is going to spend more time, you should keep it manicured, keep lawn debris, the leaves and things like that raked up and so forth. That'll go a long way because that's where the bugs like to live or lie in waiting, as I say.
Right, exactly. That and I focus now. I don't have a really big yard or anything like that. It's enough for them to go out and do a couple laps and whatever, or hang out there. Um, but I do have shrubbery in the
Yeah,
back of the property. And I find that that usually is my troublesome
yeah,
area.
yeah,
So although I can keep my grass nice and short where they are, but they're a hunting breed, so they kind of get into all that stuff. So I generally have to clear away the shrubbery and make sure that the bushes, kind of the greenery is up top and my dogs can kind of weave in and out. So it just helps to minimize that environment of where those bugs
sure.
hang out because those little ticks like to drop down like a little bomb. They just boop.
Well, there are a couple other things that you can do. So there is a product, it's called Wondercide. You can find this on Amazon. And you can actually spray with a garden hose your external environment, and especially in smaller areas and around bushes and things like that. It won't harm your plants, but it'll deter these bugs from wanting to be there. And it is an essential oil based kind of thing, cedarwood oil. There's another one that you can use. It's called garlic barrier. And that one smells like garlic. So you spray your yard and you smell like a Italian restaurant for a little while, which isn't all bad. But this too will help deter some of those pests, especially mosquitoes and fleas, from wanting to hang out in those areas. Um, and I know you did a really cute little video not too long ago on using diatomaceous earth and your leaf blower. So I happen to like a particular product by Dr. Mercola. It's diatomaceous earth mixed with neem because neem is such an excellent deterrent for ticks and bugs and things like that.
Right.
And so that you can combine things like that to do a layered approach to your outside cares.
So before we move forward, you guys, I put some links in the comment section. For those of you who might be watching for Facebook, can you tell me if you see the links? From my side, I see that those links were added from YouTube, but I'm not quite sure that they followed suit on the Facebook page. So if somebody can just give me a little thumbs up or something and let me know if you see them. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Janet. So they can't. I'll let you continue. And
Okay,
I'm not ignoring you, but I'm going to see if I could
fix it.
repost these or,
Sounds good.
yeah. So, all right.
So another thing that's really useful and helpful in the environment are called nematodes, and they're live little cells, creatures, that are spread by way of using a yard sprayer, your hose and a yard sprayer, and you can buy them specifically for ticks, fleas, ants, slugs, all kinds of things. And the company I like to use is Arbico Organics, and that's Arbico Organics. And you'd be looking for nematodes. But they are very effective because they eat the larvae and eggs of all these bugs that we're trying to deter. So they're wonderful. Arbico also has some good information on their website as far as how to spread them, when to spread them, what they're good for. They're a wonderful company to even ask questions of. So beyond that, we'll get outside of the environment because you can use diatomaceous earth on the inside too, if you need to. You can also use the diatomaceous earth and neem combination topically on your animal. The only thing I would be cautious of is it's very drying, and it can to the coat and skin, and it can also be very irritating to the nose and mucous membrane. So you want to be very, very careful when you're using that with your animals. So
Yeah. A lot of people say to put like a mask on and to be very, very, yeah, careful about around the face.
yeah,
Because if it gets in the eyes, it leaves, it can be very irritating and certainly, like you said, dry. In fact, if you get it on your hands,
uh-huh,
you will literally feel how dry your hands
right.
will be from getting that powder on them. So I always think it's interesting that a lot of people don't really realize what diatomaceous earth is. Maybe you can explain that.
It's actually little fossilized creatures that have really sharp little shards. They're microscopic, so you really can't see them, but they're shards. They're very sharp. And it's also got such a drying component, but it's actually when you get diatomaceous earth in contact with a flea or something like that, what it does is it dries out the body because they need moisture, and it also kind of shards them. It rips them apart.
Slice it, yeah, it's kind of like a little slice and dice. And
Right.
so one of the things that I usually kind of tell people when they're working, even if you're using those topical that you get from your veterinarian and stuff like that, that doesn't guarantee that your dog isn't going to get fleas or ticks. What it guarantees is if a flea or tick bites your dog, the poison that is underneath the skin in your dog's body is what will kill them.
Right.
And so to me, utilizing things like diatomaceous earth topically on your animal, um, uh, and some people actually do it internally
Yeah.
as well as a parasitic cleanse.
Mhm.
But definitely to me, that is a good route. I usually use it in my yard and I use it on my dogs. I put it in my dog's bed. I put it in their kennels.
Sure.
So, you just want to, and even if you sprinkle it into your carpet and things like that, or the crevices of your couch to help deter the interior part of your home.
Right. Right. So, let's go on and talk about, let's do topical use since we were just talking about topical, and then we'll jump back to the internal use. Is that all right,
Sure.
Christine?
Yeah, no
So,
problem.
the topical use is interesting because our animals are sensitive to, they've got really sensitive smells and things like that. So we don't want to overload them with heavy perfumey or essential oil things. And yet we know that essential oils can be quite helpful in deterring bugs jumping on our animals. And I have a couple here that I've used myself. Oh, here we go. This one is called Kin and Kind Flea and Tick Prevention, and it's an organic spray with the smell of lemongrass. And I think we've got that link in the comments.
I'm getting there. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or something that you actually are starting to see? I'm slowly working my way in creating those onto, it looks like they're going onto the Facebook, but
Really
just to
cool.
be sure, if you guys can just give me a thumbs up or something so I can see that it's actually working.
Then there's another one that I've been introduced to. It's called Medoricide Flea and Tick,
Cool.
and um, it's got hydrated silica, which in itself is actually quite good because it again dehydrates these bugs and so forth when they get on the animal. The issue I have with any topical essential oil kinds of product is you're going to want to be giving your animal liver and kidney support while you're using them so that we are continually helping to detoxify and move these things through our animals' bodies and not adding more problems to the issue. I mean, that's why we don't want to use the topical pest controls from the veterinarian is because they're poisonous. And our essential oils, albeit not really poisonous, we can intoxify our animals pretty quickly, and we don't want to do that. So in order to help their liver to detoxify and keep things clean internally, I like to use some kind of like a milk thistle dandelion product at the same time that I'm using something topically like this. I also will often add, we'll see if you can see this. It's
It's
called rose geranium. And this happens to be from South Africa and it's organic by a company called New Directions Aromatics. And I will often add even a drop of this to another apple cider vinegar spray or something like that to just kind of boost up. Um, my dog wears a little tick tag. She wear or an essential oil tag on her collar.
it's like
And
a little clay that you could put an essential oil onto it.
yeah,
Okay.
well, she has one that's a little button by a company. Oh, I don't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yep,
like aromatics or
yep.
something or
You put a little drop of, an essential oil, and then through the limbic system, when they are breathing in, that helps deter some of these pets and so forth too. You just want to be careful because we don't want to offend them with these strong scented things. Um,
right.
there's a company, it's called Sustenance Herbs, and I think Christine, you have that
I
link.
think I'm getting there. Yeah.
Yep. And they have a wonderful product called Nature Repel. And that comes in a spray and also an oil. So it depends on how you like to apply. The oil you can put on your hands and rub it on your animal. The spray you can spritz on. But that's also got neem oil in it. And it's a wonderful product to deter bugs from biting and landing and wanting to be on your animal. So topically, those are really good things. Some people will run into some significant tick areas. And I was introduced a number of years ago to something called Earth Animal Flea and Tick Herbal Collar. Now it is a collar that you put on, not like the old Hearts flea and tick collar. This isn't got poisons. It's herbal and essential oil based, and that you can put around your dog's neck if you live in an area that's really endemic with these things and you're having trouble keeping them off your pet. I also do use on my girl. It's called Tickless Ultrasonic. Ultrasonic flea and tick repeller.
Oh,
This is
interesting.
So the dog can't hear it. It does emit a sound, but the dog can't hear it. People can't hear it, but it emits ultrasonic sound, that the fleas and the ticks and things like that tend to want to avoid. She also, and there's another one I put in the comments. It's called Only Natural Pet Flea and Tick Tag. Now that's not ultrasonic, so it has no sound, which the animals can't hear anyway. But that one resonates with your animal's magnetic energy. And both of these you have to put on your animal a couple, 3 weeks before the bugs are really bad, so that they sync with your animal. But those are nice, and they just hang as a tag on your dog's collar. So again, as the layered approach, you can use that because it's always on board. You don't have to remember to do that. You just have to remember to change it. This tickless lasts anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and it does have a little tester on it so that you can figure out if it's still working. The Only Natural Pet tag, they say lasts about a year. So changing them out, you don't have to do that very often. So that's good. Some people will have some really good luck with Baltic amber collars. So they're made from the Baltic amber resin, and they're strung on a wire or something, and they're made into a collar. And through these pieces of amber rubbing together, your dog's movement and so forth, through it rubbing together, it creates a static electricity. And the static electricity follows along your animal's fur. And the theory is that it keeps bugs from wanting to stay on the animal because of this constant static electricity, right?
Kind
So
of like
it
when
works for
you're
some
when,
animals well.
yeah, it's kind of like when you were a kid, and if you have siblings, we used to go across the floor, shuffling your feet and kind of touching somebody and giving them that little zap. That
Right,
was always, yeah. Can you imagine those little things?
right. So
Yeah.
some people, so you can find those on Etsy. You can find them if you Google amber Baltic amber collars. You're generally looking for the raw amber, not the smooth polished. So if you can find that in the text somewhere, you're looking for the raw amber.
And
Um,
is that one of the links that we have here?
that is not, because you can
Okay.
find the ones that I used to be able to purchase have been really affected by some of the
COVID stuff.
supply and chain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're better off just kind of looking around. But Etsy has some of them, and I think sometimes it's nice to support,
Oh,
local
yeah,
artists,
absolutely. Right. Yeah.
right?
I'm all
Um,
about that. Yeah.
so I do have an herbal topical spray that some people might want to make instead of buying something. And I'll just quick give that recipe, and then you can figure out whether we can post that somewhere. But you start out with 1 organic lemon, 2 sprigs of fresh rosemary, 1 sprig of garden sage, 1 quart of filtered water, and optional 1 sprig of lavender. And then what you do is you slice that lemon really thin into thin rounds. Place the lemon, rosemary, and sage in a large stainless steel or glass bowl. Add 1 quart of almost boiling water. Cover it and let it steep overnight. And in the morning, you strain that liquid off, and you can refrigerate that up to 2 weeks. You put it in a spray bottle, and you can spritz that on your animal anytime you're going to be going outside. Now,
And you could use this on humans too, because I
absolutely.
don't know about anybody else, but when I'm sitting outside, with my dogs and stuff like that,
Yep.
I don't like to be eaten by mosquitoes or bitten by fleas either. So I generally use what I'm using on my dog on me first. I kind of give
Right.
it a little once over, and then the dogs can share in that as well. So yeah.
The
So
beauty about this one is it's not as pungent in smell, and so dogs aren't usually as offended. The converse is it doesn't have the lasting power as maybe an essential oil kind of spray. But if you have a really sensitive dog that's sensitive to the smells and things like that, you could easily put this on. If you're going to be outside for 8 hours, you could reapply it maybe once or twice and be probably pretty good to go. So,
I
um,
like it.
and absolutely nothing beats inspection of your animal, and daily when we're in peak flea, tick, mosquito season.
Yeah.
Inspect them, you know, fluff up their coat, take a look, see what kind of things are hanging out there, or if they've got any bug bites or something like that that need addressing. Nothing beats that. There are some handy little tools for fleas. I'm sure most people have, you know, a flea comb of some sort. They're imperative to have. Don't wait to get it. Just get a couple on hand. And also, this is a tick tag that I use to remove ticks. This is the variety I prefer. The kind that twists, they're finding is probably not as good because the tick will kind of vomit. And
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
spew it. Right. They spew into it.
right. But this, I carry it on my key fob, and you just lay it flat against, there's the tick, you lay it flat against the skin and pull back, and it takes out the head and everything really nicely. So it's
Yeah, that is one thing you need to be concerned about, is taking those ticks off. The other one that I've tried is, and I know I've done a video and I probably had it on my personal Facebook page, of using peppermint oil. I just drop peppermint oil and they just kind of, especially if they've been there for a little bit. You know, I had one that was attached to my foot and it was gross, but I wanted to test the theory because I heard, oh yeah, you just use an essential oil. So I used some peppermint oil and it just it backed off, and I was able to, you know, take a pair of tweezers and give it a little tug, and it came off. And then I put it in a Ziploc bag to see if it would die.
it takes
Um,
forever.
those things can live. They're supersonic, right?
We do
Yeah.
want to be careful to not suffocate or smother. So there's been some more research that when we use something like, some people say soft soap or an essential oil on the tick, that they actually do spit
Oh, they
some.
still spitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's better to get it off. And then once you get it off, I have a little poultice that I will put on that bite to help pull some of those toxins out. And if you get the
Yeah.
poultice on right away, and that is, I have a recipe for that as well. It's a drawing poultice where you can take bentonite clay, and the proportions don't matter very much because you're just making a poultice. So you take bentonite clay, you can put some activated charcoal in there if you have it. You can take a little bit of castor oil and put that in there. Witch hazel, all these things kind of draw, and then a little bit of water. And what you're trying to do is just make it a paste so that you can smear it on the bite. And you might have to clip the hair away a little bit, depending on how furry your dog is.
Right. Sure.
You
Right.
want to get that poultice right on there, let it dry, and it might take an hour. Moisten it, get it off with a moist towel, and then put 3 more doses,
Applications. Yeah.
3 more applications within the first few hours, and that will actually help draw some of those toxins out as well. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, the other thing I mean, we can't stress enough how to put things in our dogs' bodies that will help deter. So that's what these poisons do, is we try to put something in the body or absorbed through the skin so that when a bug bites, they die or that they don't want to bite. So there are some natural herbal-based remedies that are so helpful for things. One that I like to use, I use it during all tick season. I live in Wisconsin, and so ticks will start showing up here pretty quick, and they will come and go through November, maybe even December. So what I use is a product called BOR, BOR dash L dash immune by Sustenance Herbs. And I think, Christine, you put that link in.
I think I caught all of the links
Yep.
put in.
So that one, Sustenance Herbs, They have a lot of wonderful products. They've got the Nature Repel, which is another bug spray. They have this Bor-L Immune that you dose in food. You put this herbal remedy in their food, and it helps to deter these bugs because the animal will take on a smell that the bug can smell or doesn't like. And they're not going to want to latch on. They aren't going to want to hang out there. They're going to want something that's not as repulsive to them. My dog has been on Bor-L Immune for a very long while, and you don't smell it. It's not something you're going to smell or anything like that, but it's a very excellent, should your dog even end up with Lyme, it can be used as a prevention and also as a treatment. It's excellent. There's also garlic is very good to deter bugs of all kinds. So you can buy, Springtime is a company that has garlic tabs. So it's a little chewable that you can give your animal. And they also have a granular powder that you can put in your dog's food. And so that's a really easy way to help deter. You can also chop up fresh garlic yourself. And there are safe guidelines for feeding garlic, and maybe Christine, you have that somewhere. I have it as well, but you can chop it up fresh and use it daily. So for example, a 10 to 15 pound dog would get about a half a clove. Now we're talking an average size half a clove, not the elephant size or something like that. For a 16 to 40 pound dog, 1 clove of garlic. 41 to 70 pounds, 2 cloves. 71 to 90 pounds, 2.5 cloves. And 100 pounds or more, 3 cloves per day. You chop it up, put it in their food. These are well under toxic levels, no matter what. But you wouldn't want to use it with, there's a couple of breeds that they say, please do not use garlic. And that's the Shiba Inu and the Akita breeds. So if your animals have that in their bloodline and you know that, you're going to want to avoid it because they have some hemolytic anemia issues within the bloodlines. You also don't want to use it if you've got an immune suppressed dog, chemotherapy, diabetes, if they're on blood thinners, particularly ill animals, anemic, lupus, or if they're on antacids, because garlic can be really, really hot on the stomach, and not every dog can tolerate garlic. So you kind of know your dog,
Right.
Whether they.
And so from a dietary perspective, because I think one of the things that we need to, think about, and I don't think that people really correlate this, but parasites tend to attack the weak or an animal that has a weakened immune system. And so I remember one of my dogs, it was like every year, and I've had multiple dogs for quite some time, that I have some dogs will be in the same area. They go through the same, fields, and, they're in the same, and they never get a flea or a tick on them or other. And then you get another dog that, has repetitive through the summer where you're having to go onto that particular animal and really searching them down. And that, I really do believe that is an indicator for me that I need to be doing something to help that animal to build their immune system in order to build that so that they're not pestered by these pesky little pests.
Right.
So diet is a big component. How do you feel about that?
I absolutely agree. So these animals that aren't particularly vital, they usually have some kind of inflammation, chronic inflammation. And they may also have some chronic stress issues. And that's what we want to try to reduce so that they're more vital. And oxidative stress in the body is a big deal. So I always tell people, do the best you can and investigate species beneficial feeding. So whether that's raw food, home cooked, But generally it will be lower in carbohydrate, and full of moisture. Those are good things. And a good way to get that is through raw feeding or home cooked diets with whole fresh foods, feeding clean proteins, sulfur rich greens, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccolis, and things like that. Those should be cooked. Those should be steamed if you're going to feed them, or well pureed. Um, but nonetheless, they help with the idea of bug deterrent and increasing the immune system, making them less worthy, I guess, of a bug bite or something like that. And we want to nourish their blood, and things, and keep their skin healthy. So things like good omegas, omega 3s, we do need some omega 6s unless they're on a kibble diet. Then they're probably high in omega 6 and omega 9. And then you want to bump up the omega 3, right? So it all has to do with diet. And I know you work well with diet. So if somebody's wondering, I think, they could have a consult with you and you could figure out where they need bumping up of things like that. Some people will also use apple cider vinegar in their animals' food, as well as topically, but you always want to dilute that if you're going to be using it with your animal. Even if you put it in their food, you want to dilute it first and then put it in. If you choose to put it in their water bowl, make sure they have another clean water bowl so that they don't stop drinking. That would be great. And you usually want to dilute it down, 25% apple cider vinegar to 75% water, or 50-50 or something. Take a a teaspoon yourself and how it's not.
I do apple cider
vinegar.
Yeah, I do apple cider vinegar. I usually in the morning will make put it in my tea with a squeeze of lemon and some honey.
Right.
And then in the summer, generally, I have herbs that grow. So I have like peppermint or spearmint or something like that, and I can throw a little leaf in there, and it actually isn't so. It's not
because
bad.
It's diluted, right? I mean, to take it just straight off the spoon, it's like,
I can't do it straight. Right. But a little bit of honey and stuff like that. So you have given truly a wealth of information, and I appreciate all the work that you did in preparing, getting those links that people have places that they can go to and look at some different products. In addition, they can go back and listen to the video as a whole, and get those recipes, and or they can contact you. I've got your email here in case anybody is interested in contacting you, Brenda.
Right.
Otherwise, certainly you can go to A Naturally Balanced Dog. Yep. I have a section, it's called Food Facts. And so under there are some different options as to, I think it's just kind of interesting points of how you can adjust your dog's diet in regards to, maybe some imbalances, and seasonal. And so come spring, you'll probably want to change your diet, your dog's diet, to something that is more functional from that. And so there's some examples of different foods that you can do. And certainly you can take some of the ideas that you've given today and add those into your dogs, because as I mentioned, come in our area here, come usually like right in April, May, the ticks are starting to like come out of hibernation, and it's like tenfold. And so I think one of the more important thing is to make sure that you're aware of like when those hungry seasons are. Yep. And then you don't want to go into the forest preserves and things like that, or into the high grassed areas, just being conscious, but certainly a healthy diet, utilizing some of the products that you have mentioned. I've used the Wonder Sight. I use the Wonder Sight on my roses and stuff like that. And in the yard, I use the Diatomaceous inside my house and outside. The one thing that I think that I've learned is over the years is before, if I seen a flea in my house, I would have a major meltdown and completely rip all the sheets, clean the house from top to bottom, get the dogs out and put flea bombs in the house
Mhm.
over like a flea. And so now I don't get so bent out of shape, and I look and I say, okay, my dog has a flea. I get him, I wash them, and then I start all the topical. I
Right.
still clean all the sheets and all the things
Mhm.
that where they can be. Make sure that you vacuum really good if you have carpeting and things like that. And then I usually use like the diatomaceous earth and again, making sure that your dog is on a good, healthy, fresh diet to help build that immune system so that those little pesky bugs are deterred in going. Because as I said, it's usually a weaker dog or a dog with a weak immune system that's going to be the dog that's going to always have those fleas and ticks. So thank you for all of that. It was just so great. I mean, it is just like the perfect time to really be discussing this. So,
Thanks, Christine, for
excellent.
having me.
Yeah, nice job. And so next week, I'm really excited. I will be talking with Amy Snow and her business partner, Nancy, from Tallgrass Institute of Animal Acupressure. And we're going to be talking about 4 different types of separation anxiety. And so I think that's going to be a very interesting topic because it's a little bit different than I think how most people um, kind of put things together when they're thinking about some of these behavioral things. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And if anybody has any questions, again, you can reach Brenda over at moderndog.brenda@gmail.com. And or you can reach out to me. Share the video with anybody that you think that might enjoy it. And for those of you who are on Facebook, if you could please like the page, and or if you're watching from YouTube, if you can do a like, subscribe, and then this way it just supports the channel and it supports all of these small businesses that come week over week and share their knowledge and information. And so it just helps get the word out and whatnot. So again, I would like to thank you. But before we go, we have 2 little comments. Sarah is saying thank you. Janet is thank you. And so thank you both very much. And we'll see you all next week. Bye now.